This video we are going to do just a quick 3-question computation review dividing with decimals. We'll actually be dividing a number with a decimal by a whole number. There's a companion assignment that goes with this that deals with word problems, but for this we're just going to look at the computation part of it. If you have the companion assignment, we're going to go through the first 3 problems. Alright, so number 1 is 35,564 and 16 hundredths divided by 96. Now, the only thing that's really different when we're dividing with a decimal, if we're dividing by a whole number, then we don't have to change the placement of the decimal. If we're dividing with the decimal, we do, but for 5th grade STAAR, you will not have to divide with a decimal number. You'll just be dividing by a whole number. So all you really have to do is just move the decimal up to here, and you're pretty much done with the decimal part of it. And then the rest of it is just division, as you've done before. So for this problem, because I'm dealing with such a large divisor, probably what I want to do is, instead of listing out all the factors of 96, because that's going to be a lot of computation on the side that I probably don't really need, because I can estimate with 96 pretty easily, because 96 is very, very close to 100. So I can estimate at 100, and that's going to be a little easier to find what numbers I need to use. So when I look at this, 100 going into 3, no. 100 going into 35, no. 100 going into 355, yes, absolutely. And I know it's going to go in 3 times, so then I've got to do my 96 times 3 over here off to the side. And I'm going to get 288. Do my subtraction. I have to regroup. That's a little bit hard to see with the marker. 15 minus 8 gives me 7. 14 minus 8 gives me 6. And 2 minus 2 gives me nothing. I'm going to pull down my 6 next. I'm afraid I'm going to have to erase some of this computation so we can see. Please do not erase this on your paper or your scratch paper. That's, your teacher hates it when you erase your work. I need to do it though so I can make a little extra space. Alright, so we're going to do 6 times. Numbers are a little bit off, a little crooked. There we go, that's better. Alright, so we're going to have to do 96 times 6. 6 times 6 gives me 36, carry my 3. 6 times 9 gives me 54, plus 3 gives me 57. Ooh, so that's not going to be enough, because I can see right there that there's going to be a difference of 100. So that's not going to quite be enough. So one of the dangers of estimating is sometimes you'll be a little bit off. So we're going to need to go up one more. So we'll change this to, change this to 96 times 7. And that should get us what we need. Alright, 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 4. 7 times 9 is 63. Plus 4 is 67. Whew, that's pretty close, but that will work. Pull down my 4. Now, because I know 96 will not go into 44, I can just put a 0 here. Now, I can go through the process of saying 0 times 96 is 0 and do the subtraction, but that doesn't really change anything. And because I'm running short on space here, I'm gonna leave the 44 as it is and pull down the 1. Alright, now remember, the only reason I can do that is because I've got a 0 up here. So if we had gone through the whole process, 0 times 96 gives me 0, and I'll just write it out because I can erase it pretty easily. I'm going to end up with 44 down here anyway, and then this 1's just going to get pulled down here. So I'm just kind of skipping this this part of it because I don't really need to do it. If I understand the process well enough, I don't need to do it. I can just pull down my next number. All right, so 96 is going to go into 441 four times. Again, I'm thinking of 96 as 100, so I'm estimating here, and hopefully that won't get me into too much trouble again. It's already gotten me into a little trouble once, but that saves me from having to do all the factors off to the side. All right, 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 2 is 30, not 20, 38. So we get 384. I'm going to have to move up and down because I'm about out of space here. All right, going to have to regroup. So I end up with 11 minus 4 gives me 7. 13 minus 8 gives me 5. And 3 minus 3 gives me nothing. And then I'm going to pull down this last number. And I've got 576. And again, I'm estimating at 100, and that's pretty close to 600. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do 96 times 6. And hopefully that will work. Slide up here so I'm going to go and put the 6 up here and hope that my estimate is going to work. And then we'll do the computation down here. 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 9 is 54. Plus 3 is 57. Can't get much closer than that. And so I'm going to have 0 remainder. So my answer is 370 and 46 hundredths. All right, on to number 2. Number 2 is going to be 45,420 and 6 hundredths divided by 98. Man, the problem generator, like those numbers close to 100. Oh well, that works out okay for me, at least for the estimation part. So again, I'm going to estimate close to 100 as I think through this. So 100 goes into 4, nope. 45, nope. 454, yes it will. And it'll go 4 times, so I'm going to do 98 times 4. 4 times 8 gives me 32, carry the 3. 4 times 9 gives me 36. Plus 3 is 39. 392. Gonna have to regroup a little bit here. I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to regroup with my green marker, just so I don't confuse anybody while I'm doing this. Because I'm going to have to write above my dividing line. I'll go ahead and do my decimal with my green marker while I've got it out. Remember, all we have to do with the decimal, since we're dividing with a whole number, we don't have to change the position of the decimal. All we have to do is just move it up top and make sure it's lined up. And we have to make sure our numbers stay lined up as well. All right, so stir subtraction. 4 minus 2 gives me 2. 14 minus 9 gives me 5. 3 minus 3 is nothing. Pull down my 2. All right, and I'm going to go with 98 times 5 this time. Now this is one of those parts where it's not fair that Mr. Beckwith has an answer key right next to him to check his work as he goes, to make sure he's not telling you anything wrong. Because I think this should be 6. And I may have made a computation error. And if you caught me, congratulations. Let me check real quick off camera here. No, this should be good. Hmm. Thinking my key might be wrong. Sorry guys for the delay. I just don't want to put anything on screen that's wrong. I've got an error somewhere. There it is. I didn't need to regroup here. Good on you if you caught that. I knew that was wrong. Didn't have to regroup there. Had to regroup from here, but not there. So that should be 622. Well, that makes much more sense why my key has a 6 and not a 5. All right. Sorry about that, guys. But hey, congratulations if you caught my mistake. It happens every now and again. I'm sure if you see this video and you see me in Clash, feel free to give me a hard time. All right, 6 times 8 is 48. Carry my 4. 9 times 6 is 54, plus 4 is 58. Now I do have to regroup here. Please no snarky comments in the comments section. Save it for class, not out on the internet. 12 minus 4, 12 minus 8 is 4. 11 minus 8 is 3. Let's get 34. Pull down my 0. Man, I'm all kinds of flustered. Getting the right numbers, getting stuff wrong, not regrouping. Who is this guy? All right, so again, using 300 to estimate. 344. Do 98 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. Carry my 2. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 2 is 29. To regroup there, so I've got 10 minus 4 gives me 6, 13 minus 9 gives me 4, 2 minus 2 is nothing. Pull down my, that is a 0 by the way. Pull down my 0 there. 100 into 460. 4 times. And again, I'm erasing my work only so you guys can see it. Please do not erase your work on your page. Please, please, please. 8 times 4 gives me 32. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 3 is 39. If I'd really been thinking, I could have just looked at what I did here, but that's all right. All right, 460. 390, I'm fixing to run out of room on my board, too. Ten minus 2 is 8. 15 minus 9 is 6. So we've got 680. Pull our 6 down. We've got 686. That's close enough to 700 that I'm going to guess. I'm going to estimate here that it's 7. And we'll just see what we get. Alright. 7 times 8 is 56. Carry the 5. 7 times 9 is 63. Plus 5 is 68. And we are good to go. Look at that. Just enough room on the board to get that done. So my answer on number 2 is 463 and 47 hundredths. All right, on to number 3. I'm going to do one more panning shot, so if you need to pause or go back and look at anything. All right, on to number 3. Number 3 does not have quite as many digits, so shouldn't run into any problems with them running out of space. 233 and 16 hundredths divided by 58. Now 58 becomes a little bit more challenging because I can estimate, I can round it to 60, but I still have to think in terms of multiplying by 60. So there may be a little trial and error on this one, but I think we'll be okay. All right, so 60 into 2, no. 60 into 23, no. 60 into 233. Yes, and here's what we have to think is we know that 6 times 4 is 24. So 60 times 4 would be 240. So that's pretty close. That's close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do 58 times 4. And I may be over. It's going to be pretty close, and I may be over. And if I'm over, that's okay. But I'm afraid that if I do it times 3, it's not going to be enough. All right, 4 times 8 gives me 32. Carry my 3. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23. So that is about as close as you can get. Other than hitting it exactly. I'm going to go ahead and put my decimal up here. And again, because I'm dividing by a whole number, I do not have to adjust the position of my decimal. Now, when you guys start to divide with decimals in the divisor, you will have to adjust the position of the decimal, but we're not quite there yet. So, all right, pull down my 1. I know 58 will not go into 11, so I'll put a 0 there. Because I have room, I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of this, even though in the previous problem I did not, just so you can kind of see what I mean by just pulling down that next number. So 0 times 58 is 0. I do the subtraction, and then I'll pull down the 6. So see what I've done here is I didn't have to do this. I could have just pulled the 6 straight down. The problem with this is if you're not real fluent in this process, if you're not real fluent in doing this, don't skip that part. Go ahead and write the 0 in there because that'll just help you with the flow. First you do this step, then you do this step, and so on and so forth. All right, so we got 58 going into 116. So that's pretty close to 116 is pretty close to 120. And again, I'm thinking in terms of 60, just to make it a little bit easier on me. So if I think 6 times 2 gives me 12, then 60 times 2 is going to give me 120, because all I've done is just add that 0. So those two numbers are close enough that I think 2 is probably going to be it. So we're going to do 58 times 2. 2 times 8 is 16, carry my 1. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And that was it. So my answer is 4 2 hundredths. All right. Sorry guys, this video ran a little bit long, mostly because I got confused on number 2 because I didn't regroup correctly. Amazing how those little computation errors can just mess everything up.